This video is for complete beginners. They're going into their very first Muay Thai class, the Art of 8 Limbs. What's it going to be like? So, I have some experience. I've lived in Thailand for over a year. I've probably been in over 25 academies, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. I'm going to give you guys the breakdown here. So first things first is when you go into the academy, it's always a good idea to introduce yourself to the instructor. After you do that, the formalities, some classes they have you bow in. So when you bow in, you basically bring your feet together, hands by your side. You do your bowing in, and then there's going to be a warm-up. The warm-up is just like calisthenics. They're going to have you running, they're going to have you doing jumping jacks, push-ups, ab exercises. We're not going to do that in the video. We're going to go right into the technique. I'm assuming you guys don't have any previous knowledge, so first things first. You're going to learn about your stance. So it's your very first class. First thing I tell my students is step back with your strong leg. So they step back with their strong leg. I make sure that they're about shoulder distance apart, and that when we're in our stance, the most important things are that you're balanced and that you're protecting yourself. So I usually ask them, like, where should your hands be? What's the most important part of your body you want to protect? Yeah, your chin, your hand, you want to keep your hands up, protecting your head. So as we're moving around, we got to make sure we're in our stance. So common mistake is when students are moving, they bring their feet together or they're crossing them. Yeah, like show in front of that camera what a beginner would do it. They're going to cross, or when they move forward, they bring their feet together. So move properly. So when he moves properly, he's moving in his stance. He's keeping that distance between both of his feet. He's practicing moving left, practicing moving right, forward, and backwards while maintaining his stance. He's balanced and he's keeping his hands up. If it's your first time, just move once. Check your stance. Did your feet come too close together? If you move backwards, did you drag your feet together? Always check your stance. Use a mirror. Make sure your hands are up, protecting your head. So first thing, you're going to learn about your stance and then movement. Once you get your stance and movement down, they're probably going to move on to your strikes. So you'd say, what's the first strike you're going to learn how to use? The jab, right? So the jab is like the closest weapon in terms of boxing with the hands to your opponent. If we're both orthodox, meaning I'm standing with my left leg forward, he's standing with his left leg forward, that's orthodox. We're both left hand in front. So the jab, when we're throwing it, common mistake is to loop it down here. So we got to make sure the student brings it straight out and straight back in. Straight out, straight back in. They'll probably have you maybe touch the focus mitts or their hand. They'll say jab, jab, and then they're going to reinforce your movement. So he steps forward, jab. Good. He steps back, jab. Making sure he's in his stance. And another common mistake we're going to show from the other side is that he drops his right hand. So if he were to do it wrong, he throws the jab, boom. That means he's exposed for a left hook. So the instructor should be coming, making sure that hand's glued to the temple and you're protecting both sides. Retracting, jab, good. Move back, move to your left, jab, good. Double jab, boom. So stance, footwork, jab, and now we're going to go on to the power hand, so the cross. One key detail is that your back foot should be twisting. We want to involve the power of our hips. Usually we're going to get more power when we involve our hips. So we're going to practice by rotating from the ground up. So we're talking about from his ankle to his knee to his hip. When he throws the cross, watch his legs. Everything comes forward here. His shoulders up, nice and high. He's protecting his jaw here. So same idea. Along with the straight punches like the jab, if he loops his cross down, a mistake, boom, he could get countered with the left hook. So instructors should be looking out, straight punch in, straight punch out. Same with the jab, straight punch in, straight punch out, in his stance, nice and strong. So that's the cross. Next punch you're going to learn is going to be the hook. So the hook's a little bit more of a technical punch here because you're going to be loading up your body. So it teaches students about proper body mechanics, and we're going to begin by rotating, cross the center line, and then rotating back. So if I'm here, I just want to say, just pretend like you threw a cross, but don't extend your arm. So he rotates here. You can see he's coming up nice and high, right hip forward, right shoulder forward. I give him that target. And again, it's not trying to blast, because if I'm not wearing focus mitts, I'm not wearing protection, he's just working on this technique. He throws his left hook, boom, exactly. We don't want the elbow high, we don't want the elbow low, we want the wrist, elbow, shoulder, all in the same alignment. If he switches sides so you can see it better, he's going to rotate, prep his body, and then he's going to throw the hook. Exactly. Everything's in alignment. shoulders nice and high, and on the other side, he's protecting his head. And you can kind of see, again, he rotated ankle, knee, and hip. A lot of power comes from the legs, so you got to make sure you're involving them in every punch. Even the jab, you can add a little bit of a step, a little bit of forward energy into that jab to get a little bit more pop behind it. It also helps clear the distance. If he throws his jab without that movement, he'll be out of range. Don't move. Exactly, he can't hit me. As soon as he adds that step, boom, step, boom. So he's learning now about closing the distance. So we're kind of throwing a lot at you here. We got the jab, the cross, the hook, and now the next best weapon, some people say it's the very best weapon, the roundhouse kick. So when you're throwing the roundhouse kick, an important detail is rotating your hips. So if you look at his leg and you just toss it up here, if his toes are pointing straight up, his hips have not rotated over. This is kind of a foreign movement for most people to get down. They have to rotate their toes all the way out to the side. So if you can see his body, he's fully rotated. If he's not rotated, he lacks the power here. So we want to practice every time we throw the kick, rotate your hips into it. Good. At the same time, he's swinging his arm down. He rotates the hips, swings the arm. Rotates the hips, swings the arm. Perfect. Coming this angle, so throw on your roundhouse kick right here. Boom, good. If you look at his base foot, he's going step, point the toes 45, and then he throws the roundhouse kick, connecting with his shin. Boom, the arm swinging down. Boom, again, not throwing super hard, don't have the pads down. So he's got his jab, his cross, his hook, and his roundhouse kick. So now the instructor should be kind of going back. It's always a good idea to review all the techniques you've covered. So now we would go back to our stance, our footwork. Let's see your stance. Let's see your hands up, chin down, and let's see your jab. Perfect, cross, boom, jab, cross, hook. Good, jab, cross, hook, roundhouse kick. Perfect, roundhouse kick. Awesome, step towards me, step back, jab, cross, hook, roundhouse kick. Good, put it all together, ba, 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 boom, perfect. So that'll be something similar to what you'll see in your very first Muay Thai class. The hardest thing is to walk through the doors. I get so many calls, emails from students like, oh, I'm not in shape. It's like, you go to class to get in shape, right? Like, that's why you're going. So don't worry if you're a little bit out of shape. The instructor should modify the class for you. You know, they're there to serve you. They're in business to help you. And it's important to realize that everybody's at a different point, right? Some people have some experience from different martial arts, whether it's a grappling martial art like wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu. Some people have zero experience. That's why it's like the hardest thing to do is to walk through the doors. So it doesn't matter what your background is, whether you have experience, you don't have experience, you're in shape, you're not in shape. Get through the door. It's one of the best decisions you will ever make. And for myself, it changed my life. It changed my life in the most positive way possible. So go check out your first Muay Thai class at a gym close to you. And another thing, don't just stick to the one gym. When you're first starting out, try a few different gyms. Every gym has a different vibe and a different energy. You got to see what clicks with you. Thanks, guys. Nice.